afternoon. The missing FA-50 fighter jet of the Philippine Air Force was found in the Kalatungan mountain range in Bukidnon province with its two pilots dead. According to Armed Forces of the Philippines Eastern Mindanao Command Commander Luis Rex Bergante, the deceased pilots were found inside the fighter jet around 11 a.m. The fighter jet flew out of the Benito Ebuen Air Base in Mactan to provide air support to government troops battling communist rebels in Bukidnon. However, it lost communication past midnight on Tuesday, March 4, as it was nearing the target area. Senate President Cheese Escudero is standing firm against rushing the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. Escudero is reacting to the reported 1 million signature campaign initiated by the People's Impeachment Movement, which is composed of various religious groups and sectoral representatives. It is an attempt by the group to convince the Senate to convene as an impeachment court and immediately start the impeachment trial of Duterte. But according to Escudero, no amount of signatures will amend the law nor convince him to violate it by convening the impeachment court during recess and without complying with the requisite conditions precedent. The Senate chief stresses that the law is not bendable and should not bow to anyone's dictate simply because of their own desire, bias, and timetable of wanting to rush the impeachment proceedings against the vice president. Escudero has repeatedly said that the Senate can only convene as an impeachment court in an open session. But the articles of impeachment against Duterte were only transmitted to the Senate by the House of Representatives 2 hours before the upper chamber adjourned its session on February 5. The Congress will resume sessions on June 2. Last week, Escudero announced his proposal to start the impeachment trial on July 30 or with the new set of senators sitting as judges in the 20th Congress. The Armed Forces of the Philippines says the Philippines completed another rotation and reprovisioning mission to the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal with no untoward incident on Tuesday, March 4. According to AFP Public Affairs Office Chief Colonel Cerces Trinidad, the rotation and reprovisioning mission marks the 5th consecutive troop mission in the region without any untoward incident. The 4 other rotation and reprovisioning missions were conducted on January 24 this year, November 15, 2024, September 27, 2024, and on July 27, 2024. The AFP says the completion of this mission reaffirms their commitment to support the country's defenders in the West Philippine Sea and to uphold the country's sovereignty and sovereign rights. The Vatican says Pope Francis passed a calm day in hospital on Tuesday, March 4, with no repeat of the previous day's respiratory crisis, but the 88-year-old has to wear an oxygen mask overnight. Pope Francis had suffered on Monday, March 3, 2 episodes of acute respiratory failure, his 3rd breathing crisis since February 22. In an update on Tuesday evening Vatican time, the Vatican said the clinical condition of the Pope remained stable the whole day. It added that the Pope did not experience episodes of respiratory failure or bronchospasm. The Vatican also said the Pope did not run a fever and remained alert, oriented, and cooperative with therapies. However, the Vatican said the prognosis of the Pope's condition remains reserved, an indication that doctors cannot predict the likely outcome. Furthermore, the Vatican said that the Pope had transitioned to high-flow oxygen therapy and underwent respiratory physiotherapy. The Pope will resume non-invasive mechanical ventilation until Wednesday morning. Pope Francis's overall clinical condition remains stable, including his heart, kidney, and blood values. The head of the Catholic Church has been in Rome's Gemelli Hospital since February 14 for treatment of double pneumonia in both lungs. The Philippines' headline inflation eases to 2.1% in February, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. This figure is lower compared to the 2.9% recorded in January on the back of easing of price pressures from food, utilities, and transportation. This latest reading was better than the median estimate of 2.6% in an INQUIRER poll of economists last week. It was likewise lower than the 2.2% to 3% forecast range of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. According to the PSA, the downtrend in the overall inflation in February was primarily brought about by the slower annual increment of food and non-alcoholic beverages at 2.6% in February from 3.8% in the previous month. Also contributing to the downtrend was housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, with a slower annual increase of 1.6% in February from 2.2% in January. that price hikes had stayed within the 2 to 4% official target means the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has enough room to continue with its gradual easing cycle, which would help support economic growth. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good afternoon.